Picture this. The first stone doesn't crush you. It just makes it harder to breathe. The second stone makes it harder still. By the seventh, your ribs begin to go. You are lying flat on your back on a wooden board in a low stone yard. The sky above you is overcast, gray, cold. Your wrists are shackled to iron rings. The guard drops the first slab onto the board across your chest. Rough granite, moss on one edge, about 50 pounds, about the weight of a full bag of concrete mix. You feel the air leave your lungs and not quite come back. That's not the death. That's just the beginning. Oh, hey there. I'm your host, Dead, mildly caffeinated, and here to walk you through one of the most deliberately bureaucratic ways a human body can shut down. What you just witnessed is called peine forte et dure, hard and forceful punishment. What it actually is, medically, is traumatic asphyxia, compression killing your lungs from the outside in. And here's the part that should bother you. Technically, legally, you chose this. Refuse to enter a plea, refuse to be tried, refuse to let the crown take your land when they convict you. Giles Corey's last recorded words at Salem in 1692 were "more weight." The man weaponized his own death. Let's find out what that actually costs. Here's what you need to understand about your chest. Your rib cage is a bellows. It works by expanding. When your diaphragm, the big dome-shaped muscle below your lungs, contracts downward, it creates negative pressure inside your chest cavity. Air rushes in. When it relaxes, air goes out. That's it. That's breathing. The entire system depends on the chest wall being free to move. This next part gets bad fast. Now put weight on top of it. A resting adult needs roughly 30 to 40 pounds of chest resistance before breathing becomes noticeably difficult. At 100 pounds, inhalation requires real effort. At 200 pounds, your diaphragm, which can generate roughly 20 to 30 centimeters of water pressure on its best day, starts losing the mechanical argument with gravity. The phrenic nerve is still firing. The signal is reaching the muscle. But the muscle cannot descend against the load. That's the point of no return. Every breath after that moment is shallower than the last, and there is no reversing the slope without removing the stones. A single flagstone of the type used in pressing weighs 40 to 80 pounds. The board across your chest is roughly 18 inches wide. At 400 pounds distributed across that surface, you are sustaining roughly 22 pounds per square inch of pressure on your sternum and ribs. That's the same as a professional basketball player kneeling his full body weight onto one knee, on 1 square inch of your chest. Sustained. Not shifting, not lifting. Permanent. Until someone removes it, which they won't. Historical records from Salem note loads reaching 400 to 800 pounds over 2 days. 800 pounds is approximately the weight of a mature dairy calf, balanced on a board, on one person, for 48 hours. Buckle up. First few minutes, the guard places stone 1, 50 pounds, across the board on your sternum. Your tidal volume, normally about 500 milliliters per breath, drops immediately toward 300 milliliters. You feel a tightening, not pain exactly, pressure. Your intercostal muscles, the small muscles between your ribs, are now doing work they weren't designed for. They're trying to lift the load with every inhale. Respiratory rate climbs. You're breathing faster to compensate for the shallower breaths. Heart rate is up. Maybe 90, 95 BPM. You're scared. That's doing it too. Minutes 5 to 15. Stone 2. Stone 3. The load is now past 150 pounds. Tidal volume is under 200 milliliters per breath. Your normal blood oxygen saturation, 98%, starts its decline. By the time you hit 90%, you feel it as a dull headache behind your eyes. Arterial CO2, normally sitting at 40 millimeters of mercury, is climbing toward 55, towards 65. Your brainstem is screaming the signal to breathe harder. Your chest cannot comply. The sensation is what survivors of chest crush events describe as burning from the inside. Not a wound, a pressure, a furnace in your lungs that cannot vent. Bro, you need more air. You physically need more air. Minutes 15 to 30. The diaphragm is losing. Past 200 pounds of load, it is mechanically locked in its raised position. Each breath now runs on accessory muscles only. The sternocleidomastoids in your neck, the scalenes, the trapezius across your upper back. You can see it from 10 feet away. His neck is straining like rope under tension. Those muscles were not built for this. They are at maximal effort. Within 20 to 30 minutes of working that hard, they are flooding your bloodstream with lactic acid. Your blood pH, normally 7.4, drops towards 7.2. The heart notices. It becomes twitchy, irregular. Your pulse at this point is probably 110, 120 BPM and inconsistent. Blood pressure is climbing initially, then starting to destabilize. SpO2 is falling through 85%. Minutes 30 to 60. More stones. The load approaches 300 to 400 pounds. This is where the ribs go. The chest wall, which can sustain roughly 400 to 500 pounds of distributed compressive force before structural failure, is approaching its limit. The middle ribs, 4 through 9, begin to crack. Not all at once, one at a time. Each one is an audible snap. You feel it as a white-hot spike that then disappears because the pain circuitry is already drowning in hypoxic noise. Broken rib ends are now free to move inward. They can lacerate the lung tissue beneath them. Add hemorrhagic pneumothorax to the list. Your chest cavity is now filling with blood, as well as failing to fill with air. 2-for-1 special. Meanwhile, the compression of your thorax is forcing blood retrograde up your jugular veins. Venous pressure in your head is spiking. The capillaries in the whites of your eyes and across your facial skin are rupturing. Tiny pinpoint hemorrhages, petechia, Tardieu spots, are blooming across your conjunctiva. Your face is darkening, deep red, heading toward purple. Intracranial venous pressure is rising. Your brain is swelling gently against the inside of your skull. Consciousness is becoming confused, dreamlike. You're not sure how long you've been here. SpO2 has crossed 70%. Heart rate is erratic. BP is crashing, maybe 80 systolic, dropping. The heart itself is being squeezed at extreme loads. The ventricles cannot fully fill between beats. Stroke volume is collapsing. Hours 1 to 2 and beyond. SpO2 falls through 70%, then 60%. Below 60%, irreversible anoxic death begins in brain cells. Cardiac arrest follows within minutes of that threshold. The clerk records the time. All right, but what does this actually feel like? Not the biology, the experience. Survivors of crown crush events, industrial compression accidents, the Hillsborough disaster, the Love Parade crush, describe the sensation of chest compression as an inability to complete either half of a breath. You cannot fully exhale. You cannot fully inhale. You exist permanently in the middle, never empty, never full. It is, they say, worse than either extreme. The CO2 buildup is the worst part of the early phase. Survivors describe it as an overwhelming internal burning, not in one place, everywhere. Every cell demanding something you cannot give them. Yeah, I know. Time distorts. Studies of near drowning and suffocation survivors show that 30 seconds of air hunger feels like 3 to 5 minutes. You have been under these stones for what feels like 3 lifetimes. You have been under them for 40 minutes. Your vision narrows. Tunnel edges close in from the periphery, gray, then black. Hearing becomes muffled, underwater, distant. The clerk's quill scratching on parchment sounds like it's in another building. Some survivors report a strange, floating calm as hypoxia deepens. Not peace. The brain simply cannot sustain the circuitry of panic when the oxygen is gone. The fear doesn't resolve, it just goes offline. Your face is unrecognizable now, swollen, purple, the Tardieu spots forming a mask across your eyes and cheeks. After you die, the blood will not pool in the dependent surfaces the way it does in a natural death. The weight keeps it pushed outward, toward your face and hands, a lividity pattern a forensic examiner would recognize immediately. Compressive mechanical asphyxia, not hanging, not strangulation, stones. You, the person who refused to plead, who made a choice in a cold holding cell to protect something for the people who came after you. You are already gone. Crowd crush asphyxia still kills. The Hillsborough disaster, 97 dead, most from compressive asphyxia. The Love Parade crush in Duisburg, 21 dead. It takes less weight than you think. A crowd pressing a single person against a fixed barrier can exceed 1,000 pounds per linear meter of force. And here's the PSA your dead host is legally obligated to deliver. A person pinned under even a moderate load may not be able to shout for help because they cannot inhale enough air to produce the sound. If someone is pinned, get the weight off first. Ask questions second. Giles Corey chose the stones over the trial. You chose this video. Arguably similar decision-making. Hit subscribe if you want to keep exploring the worst ways to go. I'll be here. I'm dead.